And that was Chris Connor, a voice that belongs in a trio of voices that really began careers with Stan Kenton and received limelight and notoriety. Chris is in town, and like vintage wine, her voice gets better and better. Chris, are you there?
Yes, I am, Leigh. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. How are you this evening?
Oh, just terrific.
Well, it's good to have you at Gabriel's, and how is the environment? And
Oh, it's great. It's packed tonight, and the audiences are so marvelous here. It's a joy to sing for them.
Chris, I remember you one night at Birdland, I think it was, doing a piece of material written by a former Twin Cityan, Patty McGovern, called Your Laughter.
Yes, I remember that.
A delightful waltz.
Yes.
Hope someday you will do it again sometime.
I will. I certainly will. I still have the music, and so I'll have to dig it up someplace.
Well, good. I think it was Billy Wallington and George Wallington who may have gotten the music to you somewhere down the line, if you remember those names.
Yes, I do. I certainly do. He wrote Way Out There also.
Yes.
George Wallington.
A marvelous pianist.
Yes, he certainly was.
You must have listened a lot to pianists like George Wallington and Thelonious Monk along the line and along the way.
Oh, yes, I have, certainly.
And you sort of take the same sort of treacherous pitches into space, working the chords and as you have developed through the years, it's become a remarkable art form.
Well, it's really terrific to work with, great pianists. I try to all the time, and of course I'm working with Jim McNeely here.
Yes,
and he's fantastic, and they lead me with the different chords, and I can stretch out a little, and it's just a joint affair.
Do you think in terms of an instrument more than the voice, Chris Connor?
Well, I try to think of the lyrics, number one. Of course, it has, to put some feeling into it and some part of me into the emotion or mood of the tune. That's what I look for first, the lyrics. But of course, melodically, it has to be good too.
But you do think of the message first.
Oh yes, definitely.
Well, certainly in this new collection of songs that you've done for the Stash label, there are a couple of striking pieces in there that are not known by most of us, such as that very searing story, Anyone Home.
Oh, yes, that was the title tune of a British movie that Richard Rodney Bennett wrote.
It really tells a story, doesn't it?
Yes, that's a very moody song, very pretty, very sad.
Yes.
I love sad songs.
Oh, well, you light a torch or two, don't you?
Yes, I like those.
There are some happy things in here, like that composition, Rio, which makes me think of Sand, Sun, and Sea.
Yes, Peter Allen wrote that.
And that's a delightful piece.
It is, and he came in to see me in some club in New York, and he didn't believe it. Well, he was very surprised when I went into from the fast samba into the jazz part, and that really surprised him. So he liked the arrangement on that.
Just for a look backward for a moment, if I mention the name Black and Gold Restaurant, Columbia, Missouri, does that mean anything to you?
Yes, of course.
What does it stand for, or signify?
Well, I believe I performed there.
And it was one of your early gigs.
That's right. And I used to sing with the Paul Church's band at the University of Missouri on weekends. And so that must have been one of the places we played. And he did all Kenton arrangements also.
When you got on Kenton's band, that must have been a very important learning cycle. Very fatiguing, I'm sure, the one-night stands and losing laundry along the way, and not always eating at the normal time.
That's true. Well, that was a rough life, doing one-nighters. You lived on hamburgers, and then you wondered how you would get your gown pressed. When you arrived in town, you only had an hour before you're supposed to be on stage. That was very, a frustrating life.
And to look glamorous and rested at the same time.
That's true. A very hard trick to do.
Chris, as you remember Stan Kenton, What sort of image in your mind as a leader in the music business?
Well, I think he was one of the strongest, and he was just fantastic, and a beautiful gentleman, and a great musician, naturally, and there'll never be another like him. And he helped so many people, especially me and everyone that worked with him.
How did he help you?
Well, he was very encouraging about everything, to keep going and never give up, and never lose your integrity musically.
And you have really fought for that.
Well, I've tried to, yes.
Well, it certainly, when listening to you live and in person, seems to have paid off.
Well,
Fight hard and continue the good fight.
well, thank you very much.
Well, I know it's about time to go on stand at Gabriel's. Thank you for taking time out, and it's always good to see and hear you.
Well, thanks very much, Leigh.